Oh, so another day and another failed PED test. Ryan Garcia pops negative for SARMs. I think he was tested. This was post-fight on the day. He failed for SARMs. Now, SARMs, for those of you who don't know, SARMs first came about in the PED world and the steroid world, and they were touted as a safe alternative to traditional anabolic steroids, traditional performance enhancers. Although it quickly didn't take long before it became apparent that they did carry a lot of the side effects as traditional steroids and were kind of just as harmful in a lot of cases. They were a grey area for a while. Obviously, they hadn't been used as widely, hadn't been used for a longer period of time as traditional anabolics had. But that's how they came about. SARMs are a androgen receptor modulator, is what they are essentially. So, and he tested post-fight. I mean, people will talk about test A and test B, the B sample. They're exactly the same test, same stream of piss, if you like, just split into two different vials, two different bottles. The intent being that test B, that if a fighter pops wrongly, he can call on the B sample to be tested, and any hopefully any discrepancy with the first test will be cleared up by the B sample, which is the same sample, but then again tested again, and hopefully that one wouldn't have been infected or doctored or whatever. So that's that. Now, Ryan Garcia, many of you might know, many of you might have felt the same. There were rumours of this beforehand. There were rumblings of Ryan Garcia using beforehand. And if you go back and watch they had the public workouts sort of the day before and the weigh-in, and many of us didn't say anything before this. You're not going to fire an accusation at someone with it being unfounded. But this wasn't a secret. A lot of people had rumblings and had suspicions of this with Ryan Garcia, and now we've kind of had some confirmation. If you go back to, like I say, the public workouts and the weigh-ins, now anyone out there who follows bodybuilders, took part in bodybuilding, there's a term called fluffy, and Ryan Garcia had the slight fluffy look about him. It's a look of when you're not bloated, but you've got size, but you're a little bit. I don't know how to explain it, but the term is fluffy, and he had the look about him of that. Now, let's hypothesize for a moment, okay? Let's say previously up to this point, Ryan Garcia has never popped for anything in this manner. So let's, again, hypothesize. So when Ryan Garcia came out post-fight and said, I've got no intention of making a weight, I'm not going to go in and weaken myself. Let's say he's obviously very close to coming off the end of a course or almost being on a course, so the effects were still in this system. Let's say, for instance, he was on a course and he had put on weight through the use of a performance enhancer, and during the weight making process, as you would gauge the weight coming off week by week, it was apparent that through the course he had put on excessive weight and just couldn't get the weight off. When I say couldn't get the weight off, I mean, I had some comments in my previous video about Ryan Garcia and the weight making fiasco. I had a couple of comments saying he couldn't get the weight off. He physically couldn't do it. Load of shit, load of bullshit. If he'd have dieted hard enough, and a lot of people don't realise, some fighters, it works like this. In Brendan Eagle's autobiography, it talked about Nassim Hamid getting 14 pounds off in just over 72 hours. And a lot of fighters do this. They'll go into a sauna for 2 hours. 2 hours. They'll come out of the sauna, they'll have a sip of water, they'll then go into a hot bath for half an hour. Then they'll get out of that, then they'll have a sleep in a duvet and sweat out for a few hours. Then they'll get back out, have a sip of water, back into a hot bath. And it'll continue like that over a 24-hour, 48-hour period. This is what I mean about, and this is what I said in the video about Ryan Garcia, about the difference between one guy who doesn't get those last few pounds off and one guy who does. The difference is absolutely fucking massive. because that's the torture they go through, and could end up with all sorts of problems, liver, kidney damage, and all sorts. But so he could have got the weight off. It's just the absolute, torturous process of doing it meant he didn't do it. But was it made even harder by the fact he had gained extra weight by a course of, SARMs, and almost as a what's the word? A pre-put in place excuse, right? Because I've done this gear, I can't get the weight off. But what I'm going to say is, I had no intention of getting the weight off. I've been on this course. I've put on way too much weight, and I'm finding it harder to shift the weight because now it's not even just normal weight; it's weight put on by the use of gear. And getting this off is going to be fucking nigh on impossible without basically making me absolutely useless to fight. So was that whole "I'm not going to get the weight off" sort of a way of kind of pulling the wool over people's eyes and saying, I can't get this weight off as natural, rather than saying I've done a course, I'm on a fucking course, and my fucking weight's gone up way too much, and it's going to be fucking unrealistic for me to get this weight off and then get in a ring and perform and fight. Who knows? Just conjecture. But yeah, Ryan Garcia fails. I mean, there's all, now this has come out, and again, we don't know how true this is. I'm not sure it's true because Devin Haney doesn't look like he needs help getting weight on or putting weight on to move up through the weights. But there are rumours about Devin Haney, and I'm not sure I believe that. But all we can go on is what we know, and what we know is that Ryan Garcia has popped. And I'm sure I heard in a few quarters this morning that he also popped to some degree, or there were some kind of findings of use of a fat burner. Most performance enhancers do have a fat burning effect. It's just the way they work. The metabolic way in which they work means that through whatever reason, the effect of the central nervous system or raising core temperature, most anabolics or PEDs will have a fat burning effect to some degree. But yeah, Ryan Garcia pops. When we go back to this Garcia fight, there was a reverse way of looking at this as well. If you look at the Garcia Haney fight, the narrative afterwards was, or the narrative going in, and then the narrative used by the people who came out post-fight and said, we always knew Haney was overrated, we always knew he was chinny, we always knew Ryan Garcia would win. But there are two ways of looking at that. Right, so let's take the claim that Devin Haney is chinny, and let's take the fact that we know that he's severely affected by making the weight. And then we throw into the fact that he was on the floor 3 times at least legally against Garcia, and Garcia still couldn't stop him. He's still done the distance. So for how much Garcia was aided by not getting those last few pounds off, the claim that Ryan Garcia is a good puncher, I mean, he is a good puncher, but the fact you had a weight-drained, apparently chinny Devin Haney on the floor that many times, and he still made it to the end, whose is the better, braver performance? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Garcia pops. A little video on that. I'm out. I'll see you all soon.